free information, then we will never be free and we'll forever be slaves. Now, let's get to the news conference that they thought would be a whiteout. Listen, please. People don't join in to be a part of the mix. Once again, Atlanta, Georgia.
No peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What? Justice. When? Now. What?
Justice.
When?
Now.
What?
Justice.
When?
Now.
Greetings, we have gathered here today to assemble at the steps of the state capitol to tell the state of Georgia that we will not sleep. We will not sleep and we will not rest until justice for the family of Kendrick Johnson has been served. Kendrick Johnson, a young man, a young black man, could have been a student at Morehouse College hearing the President of the United States address our commencement class. But because someone decided that they were going to tamper and compromise certain things, we've decided to tell the world today, no justice, no peace.
How you all doing? Everybody all right? My name is Lamont Bland. I'm the National Field Director for the National Action Network, where we're led by our founder and president, Reverend Al Shapton. We'd like to thank you all for joining us in our efforts. We'd like to especially thank AFL-CIO and ATU and other leaders in the community that came out for us. We stand today with the family of Kendrick Johnson. Mr. Kendrick Johnson went missing and was subsequently found dead in Lowndes County High School in January 2013. Since that time, Sheriff Prine and the Lowndes County Sheriff Office has broken the law, we believe, in efforts to deny the Johnson family the benefit of knowing what happened to their son. Lowndes County wants us to accept their accounts of the events, which go against all common sense and scientific evidence, and go on with business as usual. We will not do that. Since Lowndes County will use the law and our tax dollars to oppress this hard-working family and not allow a complete and impartial investigation when there have been reports and facts to substantiate claims that Mr. Kendrick Johnson was possibly the victim of a hate crime in Lowndes County High School, then on behalf of the National Action Network and the coalition of supporters, we declare as of Thursday, May 23rd, 2013, Lowndes County, Georgia is closed. We will engage in nonviolent civil disobedience to disrupt this oppressive institution we call Lowndes County, Georgia. Until we have justice, there will be no peace. Until we have justice, there will be no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Thank you. Woo!
On behalf of the Johnson family, we've come here today for purposes... Okay. On behalf of the Johnson family, we've come here today for purposes of petitioning the State Attorney General's office to assist us in the collection of information that we requested under the Open Records Act. As of January 28th of this year, not 2 weeks after Kendrick Johnson's death, we submitted an open records request to the Sheriff's Department. We were denied the material we had requested because of a claim that an investigation was ongoing and that under the law they were not required to reveal that information. It has now been approximately 2 weeks since the sheriff has announced that the investigation is closed. Therefore, there is no exception to the Open Records Act, which should deny the family and the public the information that is contained in the investigative file. We believe that this information is essential in order for the family as well as the community to know the truth of what happened to Kendrick Johnson. So we have just we have just had a conversation with the Attorney General's Secretary. She has indicated that we have just had a brief telephone conversation with the Attorney General's Secretary, who has indicated that she will be presenting to the Attorney General a copy of a letter that was faxed to him this morning requesting his assistance to enforce the Open Records Act, even to the point of criminal prosecution if necessary.
Yeah, could you say and spell your name for me, sir? Tell us who you are.
My name is Shapton King. Telephone, excuse me, you want my spelling? Okay, C-H-E-V-E-N-E, middle initial B, King.
And title if you have?
I'm the attorney for the Johnson family.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we'll have our National Youth Director, Mary Pat Hector for National Action Network.
Hello, my name is Mary Pat Hector, National Youth Director for the National Action Network. As we end up the school year, we should be celebrating another milestone for Kendrick Johnson. Instead, we stand here demanding justice and the truth. The Loudoun County coroner accused sheriff of violating the law, failing to contact him immediately upon the finding and discovery of Kendrick Johnson's body, and did not contact him until at least 6 hours later. National Action Network and National Action Network's Youth Move believes that this is an injustice. We will continue to fight for Kendrick Johnson and make sure that the city of Loudoun County and the city of Atlanta and all of Georgia is outraged. We understand that this is going to be a hard fight, but just like any case such as this, there is a lot worth fighting for. Justice will prevail. We will continue to post on Facebook, Instagram, and all of our social media sites. We'll continue to march for justice. And we're pushing, instead of pushing fear and instead of people being afraid, we're encouraging you to join our fight. Because this could have been you, this could have been your brother, this could have been your sister, this could have been your son or your daughter. And so we're asking you to take that into consideration. Because at the end of the day, it could be us next. And so please join us in our fight for Kendrick Johnson. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Yay!
Yay!
Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out. To get more information about the movement, you can go to www.justiceforkj.org. www.justiceforkj.org. Thank you.
Yeah.
No justice,
no
peace. No justice,
No peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Couple questions. Whoever you want to. And I'm here in Atlanta. We have covered this story. And could you identify as family members for us?
This is Ms. Jackie Johnson. This is Kenneth Johnson. And of course, he has this is the mother and grandmother of Kendrick Johnson.
Just the questions I was going to ask you. I know that the young man behind you said that they're going to have a nonviolent protest and action in Loudoun County. I'm just curious, I'm not sure if you want to respond, maybe he would, but what are some of the things that they're planning to do to bring this issue to the surface, particularly there in that location?
Well, I think if you consider what had been done up until this point, there had been a rally at the Loudoun County Courthouse. There was another demonstration that resulted in something of a sit-in at the courthouse that resulted in the arrest of the parents and 5 other members of the family. And I think that continuing in the tradition of nonviolent struggle, but one which is steadfast in our commitment to bring attention to acts of injustice, this is what you can anticipate will take place on Thursday and the days to come.
And as far as those who aren't familiar with Loudoun County, if you or someone could sort of characterize the county. I'm not that knowledgeable of a history of the racial division or how African Americans are treated or handled, or if that is applicable today. But if you want to, just how would you characterize how, other than what the sheriff has done and failed to do, you would characterize that community?
Well, I don't know that the community is all that dramatically different from other parts of the state outside of Atlanta, simply because of the numbers that you have in this community, in contrast with other communities much smaller in size and located in more agrarian type environments. I will say this, that Loudoun County tends to be one of the faster growing communities in South Georgia, and we think that it's uniquely situated to perhaps be, as I said, one of the faster growing communities. That's about all that I can tell you about it.
The only question that I was going to ask you is, once the Attorney General receives this letter, what are you hopeful for as far as the next steps and how they would move forward and notify the family and all those involved that are basically asking for the information to be released?
Well, essentially, that is our focus at this time. We want the Attorney General to give whatever assistance he can to cause the Sheriff's Department and any other agency that has had an open records request put upon them to make a full disclosure of all of the information that has been collected during the investigation. We believe this information is essential for purposes of helping to find the truth of what happened to Mr. Johnson. We certainly know that based upon what has been disclosed thus far, that is not the truth. And so that only as a result of the disclosure will we be able to find out what happened to Kendrick.
Attorney King, can I ask one question?
Sure.
How can they say, looking at his face, that it was an accident, or he did this to himself? How can it be?
Well, I don't know if I can answer that question for you. I can certainly say that for me, looking at his face, there is absolutely no way that in the exercise of common sense, you could agree to any such conclusion.
Now all of this is supposed to happen in a span of, what, 12 hours? He was missing and he was found?
Yes.
And he was upside down on the mat and it's supposed to look like this?
Well, in addition to that, something else that I find to be as startling is the idea that he would go missing upside down on a mat and in a gymnasium where there was supposed to be a classroom full of other students, that he never was able to alert anybody that he was stuck upside down in a mat. That's just totally unbelievable.
Yes. There's someone saying they missing his clothes, the mat, all that's gone?
Well, we don't know about the mat, but we do know that as a result of our investigators attempting to track down where his clothing disappeared to, the distance between the Macon crime lab to Valdosta has been thoroughly researched, and for some unknown reason, his clothing is not to be found. We think that that is an important piece of potential evidence, in as much as clothing collects all sorts of trace evidence that could identify not only what was the manner of death, but who may have been involved.
I have a question. Considering the populace back in Valdosta, when the family were denied the opportunity to ID their son after they found him, do you feel that this automatically put questions in the minds of the general public?
Well, it certainly crossed my mind. The fact that if you looked at his photograph after his body had been discovered, and you considered that that is not how he looked before this event, then who else was more qualified to identify him than the parents? And at that particular time that he was to be identified, his mother was present on the school grounds, as I understand it.
Okay, one other question. Considering everything that have happened and the fact that Valdosta and Lowndes County leads the state of Georgia in jail deaths from 1994 to 2009, and from 2009, even after repeated requests under the Georgia Open Records Act have been denied, do you feel like that this is nothing new, that there's a great possibility that this have been going on for a long time, and therefore the citizens in Valdosta just don't know what's going on in their community under the hands of our sheriff's department?
Well, certainly I would like to say that what you described is unique to Valdosta, but quite frankly, I think that it tells as much about the face of America.
Yeah.
We have these kinds of injustices occurring all over our country. And until we decide that we are going to insist upon the exercise of our right to know and as well to test whatever they claim is justice, then there will be no justice.
My last question. How do you feel, or not necessarily feel, but how do you feel about the support from the people in Valdosta? I just heard them talk about civil disobedience or following the Civil Rights Act of Nonviolence. Haven't that already taken place? And I think it have. My real question I want you to answer, how many people were arrested by the Sheriff's Department already in acts of civil disobedience to draw attention to this particular death, so other people across America would know what the family is going through and trying to get justice in this case?
Well, based upon what I'm aware of, there were a total of 7 individuals who were arrested, 2 of whom included Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. And certainly I would hope that as we go forward with the demonstrations and doing whatever it takes in order to bring attention to this matter, that you will have a growing number of community participants who are willing to step up and to, again, draw attention to this injustice.
Attorney King, have you heard there's intimidation going to some of the churches in terms of don't do anything, don't say anything, just leave it all alone?
Yes, I've heard reports of various acts of intimidation. None of this has been confirmed in the sense that I've had the chance to actually speak to someone who says that they were threatened or in some way told not to disclose information that they are in possession of, but this is nothing new. This is something that is done quite often in small communities where everybody knows everybody, and it is very effective in keeping information from the public.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, you all, Thursday at 11 o'clock, we'll be doing our first action. We're asking all participants to meet at 11 a.m. Thursday at St. Augustine and Norman Drive in Valdosta, Georgia. Thank you all so much for coming out. No justice?
No peace.
No justice?
No peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you going back?
What?